Welcome to We Hear Her. I'm Erin Trenbeth Murray, and I'm here today with another amazing woman who is sharing her story and insights into life lessons learned. Hi, I'm Erin Trenbeth Murray, and we are here today for the We Hear Her podcast for women who succeed. Today is one of my favorite podcast days because a very dear, close friend of mine, Laura Peifer, is joining us. Laura is a healthcare consultant and vice president of GBS Benefits. She has over 30 years of experience in the healthcare industry. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of her work. She has too many awards to go through. Can't do that. My favorite is that she was at the University of Utah, go Utes. At the same time, yes. I was there. I think you majored in psychology.
Sociology and psychology.
Yes.
Yep.
And so let me just tell you a little bit about Laura professionally, and then we're going to dive into some fun stuff that only I know about Laura. No, that's not true. I'm not going to do that. All right, so what I wanted to share with her is that she was formerly with Wise Provider Network, WPN, as a principal consultant, and she handled the negotiations, contracting, and management of custom healthcare networks. In her specialized role, she worked with many high-profile and Fortune 500 companies, which does not surprise me. I know you have clients all over, primarily in the West, and you have been, I am going to share a couple of these. You have been the repeat recipient of the prestigious Chairman's Circle Award, recognizing the top 10 insurance brokers within the nationwide Levitt Group organization.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Fun. Thank you.
That's amazing. And I know how well you're thought of and esteemed by your colleagues, as I know some of your colleagues. And on top of that, she still finds time to volunteer, be a mom of 2 amazing kids, married. And I'm so happy that you could find time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
So let's go back to the beginning a little bit.
Okay.
So you were at the U.
I was at the U, yes.
And you and I have spoken a little bit. You've said once before to me, you said, I don't think anyone goes to college and says, I'm going to go into being a broker, a healthcare industry broker.
Yeah.
And you're highly successful. What was that path like for you to get to this place?
Well, it's funny because no one ever, it's a joke that I have with people, is no one ever grows up and says, you know, oh, I'm going to be an insurance broker. I'm going to sell insurance when I grow up. That's my dream. No one ever said that.
No one ever says that?
Of course not. Okay. No one says that. No. I mean, going to school, as kids, you are always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's going to be, I'm a fireman, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, and those things. But I don't think anyone ever said they want to grow up and sell insurance and be a consultant for companies to help them with their decisions. So going back to that, when I started at the University of Utah, interestingly, now that my own children are both in school, my son's at Utah State and my daughter's at the U of U.
Yeah, go Utes.
That, I have to, always wanted them to know that 70% of kids end up changing their majors along the way. Mm-hmm. And so my daughter, as she's now a freshman at the U, is saying, Mom, I'm nervous. I don't know what I want to be. And I feel, like I need to decide. And I'm trying to help her and educate her to say, your path could change. You can go down a path and let's go explore that, but don't worry about if it changes, because that's common. You don't want to be stuck in a job down the road that you're not going to be happy with or be successful at. So keep an open mind, and I try to explain that to
I love that them. Because it's different than when you and I started ours.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you make a path for college and then your career, and then you're stuck, and that's what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what, you're right, Erin. Like, that's what we were all, I think, programmed and trained to do, is this is your path, you make that decision. And I followed that path. I graduated in sociology and in, with criminology. I thought I was going to be Nancy Drew. I'm going to, back in the day, if anybody's knows who Nancy Drew was.
Hardy Boys.
Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. Yeah. Is that you are seriously going to go out and I'm going to solve mysteries. I wanted to, do sociology and be involved with helping people, which I still do today, but just in a different field. So, graduate, apply for a job with the Department of Human Services, was going to go back and get my social work degree. And come to find out, I didn't get the job that I applied for $7.42 an hour in 1991. And I was like, what is happening right now? But I'm qualified. I am a college graduate.
Right. For $7.42 an hour.
$7.42. And it didn't happen. And that's when I had to think, is this my path? And interestingly, I was working part-time, going to the U, and I was a receptionist at an insurance company. And that's how it started. So I started at the front desk and then graduated from college and then moved into different roles within the organization and then realized I am social, I am outgoing, I want to still help people, which is really what was at my core. And I was able to do that in this industry, which is the insurance industry.
What I love is, in addition to that, I know how smart you are, or I have a glimmer of it, and you're super savvy, so you get to have that edginess and that business mind.
Yeah.
You get to do well for yourself, which I think every young woman, every person, that's an important aspect, is to think about how you want, the things you want to do, be able to provide for your family or yourself, your children or whatever. And you still get to take years of experience that you gained from a job that you navigated and moved up throughout the ranks, put in hard work and had tenacity, and you still get to help people.
Right.
It's all tied together.
It is. And, I think one of the things a couple things, in business, my strengths are helping companies sit down and understand a few things. Going through, what is your goal? Is your goal to offer something, for example, well, let me back up. What I do is I help companies go in and help them identify what their budgets are and what insurance they're going to offer to their employees. That's medical, dental, vision, life, pet insurance. Is it going to be perks? Is it going to be employee discounts? There's so many things that employers are doing today to attract and retain people to work for them and to be part of their organization. So my job, I like to say, is I'm your personal shopper. What do you need to offer to your employees to make them happy and successful? And sometimes the goal is not always the same for every employer. Yeah. Sometimes an employer is going to have a really great year. They're going to want to provide for their employees and say, we want to pay so much more towards their insurance because they value them. And not employers all value their employees, of course. But sometimes you have to look at, but what are budgets? What do we have to cut? Or what can we afford and not afford this year? And are we competitive? So there's so many different things that go into helping and planning and being the strategist for these employers and how they can, where they're going to go with the employee benefits that they offer. So it's very interesting. So I like to be helpful. I feel like I am good at what I do.
Clearly,
and that I can provide what employers need and what their goals are. We have to achieve them together. On the home front, though, you also have to, provide for your family. You have to make sure that my kids are well taken care of. And that's, yes, there's school. There's teaching them how to become financially responsible themselves.
Yes, so I need you to come to my house.
I get it. That. Because it's like, okay, for so long, and I think it's the generation we hear now, like the kids, it's hard for the younger populations or generations of kids to get a job, and they're like, well, I'm not happy, and so they don't offer free snacks. I hear that all the time. We don't have free snacks at the office. I think I'm going to go somewhere else and make 25 cents more an hour, but they offer snacks and lunch on Fridays for free.
We offer snacks.
Like
so that's a good reason to
but putting that, I think that's kind of the generation that at least we hear about as I work with employers. Like this is different generations of employees and people that we want to attract. So
that sounds super interesting to me too, but I would think that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like you said earlier, the same benefits are not just across the board for everybody.
No.
So I would think that the angle of whether the company has a younger demographic that works for them, or maybe they are more an outdoorsy company, or they're pet friendly, or there's an environment where you bring your pets to work, and everybody has a culture of bringing your pets to work. Or I would think that would kind of play into how you map out, like you said, be the personal shopper.
Exactly. That's exactly what you have to do. We have my organization has about 2,500 employer groups that we are their consultants for. And they are very different. I mean, I've got a large block of my business is construction. Well, we're talking about, we don't really need to worry about focusing on, say, maternity benefits. Now, they're included, but do we need to highlight them and focus on them if that demographic isn't such? Versus if we have school teachers and we have young population, the demographic is young age-bearing women. We've got to pivot and change and make sure that we're talking about things that are relevant to that employee group base. We're talking about if we suddenly all go to REI, you know, everybody wants to bring their dog and they want to, you know, climb and do outdoors. Well, we might need to offer pet insurance. We might need to offer, you know, days off so that you can go climbing or whatever. Just so
or volunteer.
Or volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
volunteer is a big benefit for a lot of companies.
Volunteering is a big benefit.
And this generation.
Exactly.
Important. Interesting. Well, I know you are, I mean, like, what I love about, one of the many things I love about you is, although you work 120%, it seems that I love your attitude at being like, then work is work and fun is fun, and you give 125%, having fun and taking care of yourself, whether it's golfing or yoga or skiing.
Yes.
You're super athletic and you play just as hard or harder maybe than you work in a good way, which I love so much. Do you think that, is it harder to, I mean, I'm finding a little bit as the years are coming and going, like that it's getting a little harder to give my 120% all the time for work and play. And what rejuvenates you for both, like to be able to be ready to go and be on?
You know, it's interesting. So I have a great business partner that I work with, and it's funny because we work on most everything together, my friend Dan. And when we go into a prospect or to a meeting, we have a conversation every time. We talk about, how are you feeling today? What percentage are you at today? And we do a check with each other. And I say, today I'm feeling like I'm at 85%. What are you at? Maybe he's at 40%. So we quickly can identify how you can do a self-assessment of, am I feeling smart today? Am I feeling confident today? I mean, how do I feel about myself, and how will that come across, and who's going to be a stronger lead for that meeting, for that prospect, for that call, for whatever it is. And it's been really helpful to have somebody to work with and feel like you're in it together. So that's also one of the reasons why I love being on a team, working together, and we do that at my organization. However, at home, you know, you're asking, how do I recharge and what do I do? And I am active in those things that you talked about, but I also try to give myself time to reflect. I go to yoga a lot, and I have a little, you know, mantra that I do. If you've ever done yoga, they always say at the beginning of each of your yoga sessions, now's the time to set an intention for yourself. And I have something that I say to myself. I call it the LCR. It's I deserve to be loved, chosen, respected. My LCR. I deserve to be loved, to be chosen, to be respected. And that can be in so many different aspects, I think, of your life. It can be personal. You want to feel loved. You want to be chosen, the respect. And I tried to teach that to my kids too, just to be personally confident in themselves and have that own self-worth, as well as when I go to work. Not necessarily the love, but being chosen and being respected by my clients too, and my peers, and making sure that I'm a good person to them, as well as, you know, what I'm trying to receive.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you the next time we go golfing, I'm going to say, what percent are you at today? And then you ask me. And then we'll decide
It works.
which tees we're going to hit from. Or
I
if we're
totally
gonna do
agree,
if we're going to do a scramble or what we're going to do.
Oh, it's definitely.
What percent are you today?
What percent are you today?
25%.
And there's different parts of the percentage. It's like, how are you feeling athletically today? At what percent are you at? You know, you might feel really good, physically, but you might be like, I cannot even construct a sentence that anyone can understand right now. Mm-hmm. There could be a little bit of brain pause, a little bit of fog in there. So yeah, let's do that.
I like a little check-in.
Little check-in.
That's super wise. And to have, in a professional setting, to have that kind of mark.
Yeah, we started doing it years ago, but it's really been helpful to be like, what are you at?
So speaking of fun, though, I just was thinking, I asked you this weekend, and that was not a setup for today, by the way. That was just an honest question.
Okay, yeah.
I asked you and some other friends, I said, what is your favorite thing to do with your husband? Mm-hmm. And you said skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm sure I phrased it way more eloquently, but it was, and I have gotten the opportunity to ski with you and Gordy once or twice, but tell me about being on the mountain and being with him, just the two of you, what that experience is like because with your work, you have to be on all the time, like to people.
Yeah.
Like jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Jazz
Ta-da!
hands. Ta-da! I'm on. And when it's just you and him and the mountain, something that he desperately loves, and I know you do, what's that experience like?
It's good. It's funny where you get into routines as you've been married for 27 years and you go through different things of comfort and things that you like to do. And our little routine is, we will get up, we make coffee. You got to get in the car early if you're going up Little Cottonwood Canyon. We ski at Snowbird. But there's truly a lot of quiet time, which is really nice because my job is, I talk a lot. I'm not shy.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not shy, and but oftentimes there's that downtime where it's just okay to be quiet. It's okay to just breathe and relax and drink coffee, listen to some music in the car, and then go up and ski together and just have the being outside and the piece of being on the chairlift or skiing and just the quiet, to be honest. And just simple. The simple is really what I enjoy.
And you knew how to ski before Gordy.
I did.
You grew up skiing.
Yeah.
And he's big mountain.
Yes, his career was in big mountain skiing, so he was in a lot of movies back then. So big mountain skiing, people don't know what that really means anymore, but it is basically.
I do, because
I know, because me too. But getting dropped off at the top of a mountain off from a helicopter, and you're being filmed by film crews. So a lot of travel, which has been fantastic. I've traveled a ton. Over the years, just because of his ski career has allowed us to do that. And then we'd go, like if he was on assignment and having to do some filming, for example, in Argentina, we were able to also take time and then travel while we were there. And this was before we had kids.
Right. Do they like skiing?
My kids love skiing too. Yeah, we've been a skiing family, which is fantastic.
It's neat because that was his sport, right? But sometimes people, when they are at that level, of whatever sport it is, their kids are like, no, I don't know if it's because it's an intimidation factor or it could be a combination of things, but that's neat. Your family loves that sport together still. Yeah,
we've done a lot of fun skiing and activities and traveled quite a few places to ski together. So it's been good.
What do you think, give me one or two words that you think your kids would use to describe you?
Gosh, that's hard. That's a hard question. I think, they'd say I'm hardworking.
Yeah, they would.
And I have a problem with my own internal balancing of that, because when I work hard and I'm, the emails that don't stop, and the responses that you want to provide and give and make sure you're timely. Oftentimes at home, I'm working after hours and I'm catching up on things. And so I think, for better or for worse, my kids would say I'm very hardworking, but I also need to learn how to chill out. I need to have stop and put it away. In fact, it was interesting this weekend. We spent time together, and one thing I learned from you, I haven't even told you this, is that at night you plugged your cell phone in the kitchen and you left it there. And I brought my cell phone to my room and I was on my phone. I wake up in the middle of the night, I get on the phone, I start to scroll, you go down that rabbit hole of, whatever's out there. I mean, because they're always listening. I'm going to talk about a mattress pad, and all of a sudden it's going to be, there's the mattress pad. We got to buy that.
Remarkable. I need to get that.
Wow, there it is. In the golf clothing and all the things that keep popping up. It's like golf. But just being able to disconnect. So, my kids would say I'm a very hard worker. I've never missed anything of theirs because that was always important. I made that priority.
Yeah.
But now it's mom needs to slow down a little sometimes.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So before we were started today, we talked about being enough. Do you think that you're enough?
Boy, that's tough too, because I think that the worst critic of us in the room is ourselves, always. And I think that, yes, I think I am enough. I think that I do a great job. I'm very responsible with my clients. But I also think it's normal to have some self-doubt. And it sucks. But it's human of us to feel that way. But we also can't go down those rabbit holes and get stuck in, I'm not enough. And we have to find activities, we have to find the mantras, we have to find the network, the connections, the people that surround us and support us and make us feel like that we are more than enough. Because we are, and especially the young girls. The young girls that are out there that are watching, that we're trying to mentor and make a difference in their lives and say, maybe you're not going to be Nancy Drew. That didn't work out. But you know what? You're going to turn and you're going to go down this other path instead. And you're going to sell insurance. And it's going to be killer. Because no one ever said they were going to sell insurance, or did they ever want to. But it could be and can be an amazing opportunity. And are you enough? Yes. You can be enough, and you can be more than that. So, with what we're doing together and what we're trying to get across to this group of women, young girls, is yes, you're enough. And try something. And if it doesn't feel right, change your mind. Doesn't mean that you failed. Because, I didn't fail. Yes, I wasn't Nancy Drew. But it's funny, this is a cute thing, is I still use the terminology, it's a joke in our office too, is if something doesn't make sense in insurance, like, no, this doesn't make sense, this is not the correct rate, or this is not what they enrolled in, or this is the wrong plan, or whatever it may be, I always have a term that I say, well, I'm going to go Nancy Drew that, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out the mystery, and I go and I problem solve. I'm a great problem solver. And my friends at work, I have a plaque on my desk that says Nancy Drew. So I kind of did become Nancy Drew in all of it after all.
I know you did. You got a name.
I didn't even think about that, but I did. So you can be Nancy Drew and you can sell insurance. But yes, you can be enough. And am I enough? Yeah, I am enough. And is there improvement? Always. You can always do in self-improvement. And we all have our self-doubts, but we have to continue to be confident, and continue to have a network of people and resources around us that can make us continue to strive and be better. That's what needs to happen.
I usually end with a concluding comment, but I don't have any, because that was so good. Laura Peifer, you are more than enough. I mean that. I love being your friend. It's a privilege. It's truly a privilege, and I respect you so much.
You too.
So thanks for being here today with
you,
us.
Erin.
And with that, that is all we have today for the We Hear Her podcast for Women Who Succeed. Look us up on womenwhosucceed.org. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to hear her. Join our efforts and learn more about Women Who Succeed at womenwhosucceed.org.